Species of Somodulus build pebble nests in the spring of the year. They use the nests for spawning sites, as do a number of other brightly colored cyprinid species called nest associates. The activity and number of nest associates increase as the nest nears completion just prior to the Somodulus spawning. Mature males of the three creek chub species construct pit ridge spawning nests that are in small creeks, usually not more than 1 to 3 meters in width. Breeding males of the three creek chubs are characterized by 3 or 4 pairs of large keratin tubercles on their heads. The sides of the anterior parts of their bodies are colored rose to pink. Somodulus atromaculatus, the creek chub, is in drainages in central and eastern North America. Somodulus lumbi, the sandhills chub, is restricted to headwaters of coastal plain streams of the Cape Fear and Pee River drainages in North Carolina and South Carolina. Somodulus species is in streams on the southern periphery of Somodulus atromaculatus, from Georgia to Louisiana. The reproductive behavior of creek chubs is composed of a series of well-defined events that begin when water temperatures reach about 14 degrees Celsius, although they may begin when water temperatures are as low as 12 degrees Celsius. Temperature in streams varies throughout the day relative to solar radiation. Highest temperatures occur in late afternoon. In small streams, diel water temperatures are a function of the stream source and course. Spawning, which represents the culmination of reproductive behaviors, begins when the water temperatures approach 15 degrees Celsius. The first act of nest construction by the male is the selection of the site where the nest is to be built. Factors involved in this initial stage of nest construction are composition of the substrate, water depth, and water velocity. Most nests are built on the upstream slope of a riffle. After an area has been selected, the dominant male begins nest construction. This behavior is marked by the male excavating pebbles from the substrate by the use of its jaws to form a pit that will eventually accommodate the combined sizes of the male and his mate. The substrate material, removed from the developing pit, is deposited upstream of the excavation area after each time the male digs out a mouthful of gravel. Following the deposition of pebbles on the ridge, the male returns to the pit and continues to dig. The pattern is repeated and may continue for several hours until a well-defined pit is formed. As pebbles are added to the ridge, the vertical distance from the top of the ridge to the bottom of the pit increases and serves to reduce water currents to zero in the pit. The slack water facilitates the sinking of the non-adhesive demersal eggs that are spawned at the ridge-pit interface, as is demonstrated in this simulation. A well-defined pit ridge nest was apparent after about 2 hours. The male may stay in the pit without moving stones. The pit position always precedes either one of two behaviors, stone digging or spawning. The presence of females over the nest stimulates an increase in the rate at which the male excavates and deposits pebbles. When a female enters the pit for spawning, she may do so from either one of two directions. They either swim into the rear of the pit or drift tail first into the front of the pit. Once in the pit, a female goes to the slope of the downstream end of the ridge, at the front of the pit. The male moves forward from the center of the pit and aligns himself alongside the female. The pair spawn at the front of the pit, after which the male deposits stones selected from the rear of the pit. Thus, the ridge continues to elongate as the pit is displaced downstream. For example, after 5 hours, the ridge has been extended 80 centimeters downstream from the original nest site. After this, the male once again assumes the pit position and continues the nest building and spawning behaviors. Small recurved tubercles are present on pectoral fins of the male and may serve to anchor the female next to the male during spawning. The male, with his pectoral fin under the breast of the female and his tail over her back, forces her head up and her tail down, resulting in the spawning clasp. Eggs and sperm are released, and the male appears to encircle the vertically positioned female, which momentarily appears stunned. The non-adhesive demersal eggs, about 2 millimeters in diameter, sink into the interstices and eventually are covered with pebbles by the male. The size of pebbles in a nest take on an added significance, as they are related to the size of interstices. They physically protect eggs and larvae and may adjust microcurrents for optimum gas exchange. The pattern of nest-building behavior of an adult male proceeds in an orderly and predictable pattern unless disrupted by the presence of another adult male. This often results in a parallel swim, which is a kind of agonistic behavior where the fish align themselves side by side. The parallel swim may last several minutes, after which the nest-building male usually returns to its nest. The other male may follow or retreat to a nearby refuge. In summary, there are a dozen or more well-defined behavioral patterns exhibited by creek chubs during the breeding season, ranging from those associated with the construction of the nest to those associated with spawning.